Hello, dear listener. I have something truly special to share. It's an exclusive invitation to join me in Mexico for an intimate and luxurious 3-day retreat along the beautiful Pacific coast of Zihuatanejo, taking place the weekend of the spring equinox, March 18th through the 20th. There's also an optional day to stay through the 21st for some special ceremonies that are happening in the area for the equinox. But the retreat itself is the 18th through the 20th, really an opportunity not to be missed. And I'm offering one lucky listener a discounted ticket on this weekend that I've just been loving into being actually for several years now as COVID and, everything. But when we conceived of building this place, our home down here, it's really what we envisioned, bringing people down here for retreats, for trainings, because we felt and we knew that this space was special. And as people keep coming down and we keep getting the feedback, how magical it is, we want to share it in a really intentional way. Be working with the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, the metaphors of the season. We'll set sight on a new vision for our mothering journey and creating a deeper connection to self and Mother Nature. So to win a discounted ticket, rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot it and DM it to me on Instagram at Dr. Gertrude Lyons. And remember, the most important thing to mother is yourself. Give yourself permission to take a retreat this year. And besides, who said mothers can't go on a spring break? I'll see you there.
Hello, and welcome to Rewrite the Mother Code. I'm Dr. Gertrude Lyons, a professional life coach, exploring, demystifying, and democratizing the maternal power that lives in all women. The experience of mothering may not necessarily mean what you think it means. I believe that mothering is a vehicle for transformation, whether or not we have children. And together, we can start a new conversation around modern motherhood. On this show, we will redefine what it means to mother and untap the powerful feminine within you. Are you ready to rewrite the mother code? This is a Soulfire production. Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of Rewrite the Mother Code podcast. And this is Dr. Gertrude Lyons, and this is the first podcast of 2021. So happy New Year, everybody. Excited to be joining you and really want to be with the inspiration that always seems to come at the start of a new year. And what does that mean? What does that look like? We're going to look through the lens today of that inspiration that has come in the form of something that a lot of people are now actively taking part in, which is Dry January. So what are the benefits? How did this start? Where did it come from? That's some of what we're going to be with. But as we're being with that, I'm going to ask you to be thinking about, just as we think, look through the lens of rewriting the mother code, today we're going to be rewriting our alcohol code. So here's what I want you thinking about. How did our parents, caregivers, and other adults model their relationship to alcohol when we were growing up? And how did that modeling influence us? What cultural messages did we receive about alcohol? And how did that model influence us? And in what ways does your relationship to alcohol mirror other relationship dynamics in your life? And if you could rewrite your alcohol code and step forward into a relationship that you felt proud of, what would it be? What would be your expanded experience and definition of alcohol? All right, so this fits great as we look at something that came into being called Dry January. It was started in the UK in 2013. So there was a woman a couple years before that who decided on her own that she wanted to get in shape. I think it was for a triathlon. I may not get every one of these details correct, so you're welcome to Google it. But it's really cool because this woman decided that for herself, she wanted to not drink alcohol as she got herself physically in good shape to run either a marathon or a triathlon. She then joined a UK-based organization or charity called Alcohol Concern UK, and that was in 2012. Working with that organization and talking about what she had done, they said, hey, let's make this a thing. So they advertised it, they put it out, and they got some people to follow it and join in. And I think in that first year in 2013, they had about 4,000 people sign up to be a part of it. But then it grew, and it's now in 2020 has become a global phenomenon. There's people throughout Europe and the United States participating. It's in the millions now. So how cool is that? That's not that long for someone to start a cultural shift in something. And I think what was cool about it is, it's accessible. Somebody can think about, no matter where you are with your alcohol intake, okay, a month, I could try that. And they really quickly jumped on the wagon to see does it make a difference to people to abstain completely and what people have been finding, or significantly limit, but mainly bring consciousness to their alcohol consumption. And that's what I think is so cool and fits so right on with Rewrite the Mother Code, is we want to raise our awareness. So by doing this, just by putting it in your mindset, and you may start out saying, I'm going to go for completely abstaining for the month. And 2 days in, there's people who report yeah, I had a drink. But, they stay with it as a mindset through the month. And some research has been done where 6 months later, people have felt like just by doing that month that their attitude toward alcohol has shifted and they're engaging in less risky. I think 2/3 of the people that were surveyed 6 months later. No, it hasn't been studied in real long-term effects, but it does show that by raising our awareness, we can shift behavior. And I think in getting ourselves mindful about something that culturally is just so ingrained, right, in our culture, that there's so many beliefs that we have about alcohol being the way that to have fun and the way to socialize, and all the advertising and way we've all been, completely convinced that if you're celebrating, it should include alcohol, or if you're nursing a breakup and, it's spoken of as the kind of the cure-all, right? And we also know that it's something that causes huge problems for people. And, what isn't talked about culturally so much is, what a powerful substance it is. And there's just huge power in the energy of alcohol. And we need to honor that. And I think this dry January really helps do that. So other things have been noticed, just from a month of abstaining, people report sleeping better. They report, have more clarity, more focus. Because when you're doing something all the time, you don't realize the impact it's having until you step away from it for a little bit. And that's what people have found, and some longstanding physical aspects of it that they're finding. So culturally, we get to see, and look through that lens. But then where it's going to be very individual for people is looking at messages and programming that we got in our upbringings around alcohol. I know for me personally, when I look at it through that lens, my mother had, you're always an alcoholic, I guess, but she quit drinking completely the year before I was conceived. And, I know alcoholism runs in my family in other arenas. When my husband and I got married, he would have been considered having an alcohol problem. I don't know at that point, diagnosed alcoholic, but it was something based on our upbringings and based on the influence that we knew it had and the impact and the detrimental impact it had in relationships. We decided, this was 27 years ago, that we were going to stop drinking. And I did something similar to a dry January. I said, I'm just going to experiment with this. Let's see what it's like to go without alcohol for a little bit. I didn't immediately say I was never going to drink again. And it was kind of a 2-year process for my husband and myself to explore what it would look like, to remove alcohol from our lives. And you really realize you stand out, culturally and even within our families. It really met with some significant resistance, and everything that makes people uncomfortable, it kind of highlights, their drinking habits and, things like this. But the more comfortable we got with it, the less people criticized it or had strong reactions. And we really got to see that we were part of the creators of any of those reactions. Hi, I'm so excited to share with you my 2024 Spring Equinox Self-Mothering Retreat that's happening this March 2024. And I would love for you not only to consider it, but to attend. But in considering it, hey, just knowing that you would be leaving cold weather, if that's the space that you're in, and coming down to just magnificently beautiful, warm, nourishing place of Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Zihuatanejo meaning land of the goddess women, and coming to really take time for yourself. Okay. And that I am learning more and more isn't just a nice thing to do or something extravagant or something selfish. It's essential. And I really want you to take it seriously to consider, just think about what would it take for me to go. It's a 5.5-day retreat, getting from where you are, getting there, landing there, and then being in a space that is all about you. It's all about nourishing you. It's all about tuning into you, using everything around us, the nature, the food, the beautiful people, the rituals, ceremonies. I bring it, we really bring it. And we go deeper and deeper as the days go on, and we release, we let go, we bring in what is nourishing, what is empowering, what is that space of just really divine feminine energy. And we do it in the community of women. It's not for everyone. I will be honest, if that idea of leaving and not making it work, or it's just too hard, not for you. If the idea of, spending that amount of time inwardly focused and going to that level of self-awareness doesn't sound like something you're willing to do or put the time and energy into, then it's not for you. And it's good to know that, right? So this is for people who are serious about what it means to mother themselves, what it means to take time for ourselves, and that gift and what that gift can bring to us. It was originally right after my fall retreat. It filled right up. But now some people, it turns out, are not able to come. So I do have a handful of openings. And if you're listening to this and you're willing to take that step, please reach out to me. We can do a discovery call, or you can put a deposit down. I would love that. And you can do that by going to my website, www.drgertrudelyons, DrGertrudelyons.com. Go to events, and there you go. It'll all be there. There's a beautiful page there for you to explore. I look forward to hearing from you and then seeing you on my spring retreat. And then an expanded definition of it, for us, and really starting to see, we started in this with kind of more of a negative vision, if there is such a thing, but Rich and I said, as we let go of things like alcohol and other, as Judith Wright would call them, soft addictions that were more in the, the eating realm or the, watching TV, we saw that how that was robbing us of closer relationship and connection with each other. So we turned off the TV, and then we had the TV leave our house. Now, granted, there's so many more screens available to us now. But that set us on a trajectory. And we said addictions would stop in the line of our family. But we realized it took us a while to realize we needed a more positive vision around consciousness. And that's what I think is so beautiful about Dry Januaries. It expands our definition of what consciousness is. And until you step away from something and see what it's like to live without it, and really tell the truth about the benefits and the truth about where the drawbacks and the significant ways that it gets in the way of a lot of the things that we more deeply yearn for, like closer connection with people, that we, yearn. I've heard, Dr. Judith Wright say that a lot of the times substances or things that we put in the place of our deeper yearnings are very closely related. So I also like to think that, when we're drinking spirits, that I'm actually yearning for more spirit in my life, and some of that freedom, that letting go, that inhibition that drinking can give us. Can I feel that free to live in that myself, and I won't have the excuse like, oh yeah, I acted that way because I drank too much. Nope. That was me, that was me really being out there. Really, I remember, early on thinking, could I have fun without drinking? Is that even possible? And we went to, this was in our 20s, and felt like we were going to a wedding about every other weekend. But my first sober wedding, I was like, oh God, this isn't going to be fun at all. But I had so much fun, dancing and really feeling free, uninhibited and free, and having so much fun, and connecting with my husband and being with people that it really showed me. And I kind of wanted to say like, hey, I'm having this much fun and I'm not drinking. It was there's a lot of phases you go through in a process like that. But I think, so will the impact last, and how do we keep something like that going, post 30 days? And that takes a much, deeper look and an intention to really see, like, what would my life be like without alcohol, and be courageous to ask that question. And, I'm not saying this is right for everybody to try. If I've read some things, about people who take this on, and if you have a very serious alcohol problem, this could feel like too drastic. And, you should consult a doctor if you're going to do something like this and you're worried about the impact it could have, not to underestimate something as powerful, again, like I said, as the substance of alcohol and its impact. So really, putting yourself in this environment, taking this risk, asking these questions, and then, you might say, all right, after this, maybe I'll keep it going a little bit longer and check out things that happen that are, alcohol free, and see how you like being in those atmospheres, and keep experimenting. And I think the important thing is that you're trying it, right? That you're exploring, you're making a more discerned decision then when you do decide to have alcohol. You may even start asking yourself, before you have a drink, what am I feeling now? I didn't feel like having a drink an hour ago, and now I'm like dying to have a drink. And where have these just become habits that we kind of mindlessly embark on? And we then have way more control over ourselves and our lives. And it can really, bring to us physical benefits, emotional benefits. The thing I'm, most interested in is the clarity that it brings, and the clarity of that choice, and knowing that we have a choice around it. Because sometimes when something that is so ingrained in our culture, it starts feeling like it's not even a choice, and I'll hear people say that, like, well, I'm in a certain industry, like I'm in sales and I have to entertain people, so I don't have a choice. Or I'm in the entertainment business and it's around me all the time. I mean, it's not true that you don't have a choice, but I think it is true. And I would want people to really realize, if it's something that you're really feeling like you want to do, that those environments are going to absolutely make it more difficult, but not to lie to ourselves and act like we don't still have the choice. My husband, as I said, we decided to become alcohol free in our mid-20s, and it's now been, I think, 27 years. Absolutely don't miss it. It seems like foreign to me now to think about, having it in my life, and it might not be, what other people choose, but it was a right choice for us. And he was very successful, ran his own, started his own business, grew a business from nothing to a 450 person very successful e-commerce business. And that entailed a lot of sales and a lot of conferences and a lot of, shows where entertaining is a big part of it. And he did all that without drinking. So, I know of at least that one case study. And of course, there are many, many more, and it doesn't mean that people can't have a really healthy relationship with alcohol. We just decided not to mess with it. We knew how strong the alcoholism ran in our families. We knew how difficult it would be. And so sometimes it's great to make an all or nothing choice. It certainly isn't the only way, but it certainly is something that doing and following in this movement. And I just think it's so great that somebody got this started and it's had such an impact and so many people want to try it. I think that really says something about our culture and our society, that people are starting to question some habits and some things that, despite all of the research and that shows it's really in heavy consumption isn't good for us in any way. I was talking about this with somebody, and it's not an accident that it's called getting intoxicated, and that we're putting toxins in our body, like, and if it's a habit that you have daily, that you're poisoning yourself. So if you want to get extreme and look at it that way, but even when we know that, it doesn't mean it's going to change our behavior. So it's only by looking at, the pull up from our culture and the pull from our childhoods, and, to find out and know the history in your family, and know, how much of a problem has it been. And, that is very wired deeply into us. And the DNA the gene has been found, that it can be hereditary. So just knowing those things and having a lot of compassion for ourselves. So I definitely promote it. I encourage it. I think and especially after this last year. And, if we really want to set out in as mindful and conscious a way in 2021, with our eyes wide open and our hearts open and us setting visions and goals for ourselves, this will only help. And by experimenting with these kinds of behaviors and putting ourselves in this, it will only help us. It definitely won't hurt. So I encourage you, I send my blessing on this, and whatever you decide to do starting the year with new ways, new outlooks, experiment, play, have fun. And I wish you well. And if there's any way I can support you in it, this has been a journey I've been on for a long time. And I always love to put myself out there as your guide or support in any way that I can. All right. Well, Happy New Year again. Happy dry January. And blessings to you all. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you love this episode, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe so that you can stay on the journey and continue to hear more about rewriting your mother code.